Hi there, welcome to Talking Piano. Last month I covered the legendary musician Mr. Clarence Vijayawardena. Today we are going to explore the Kandayam Geeta, the group songs. කොහොමද ඒක පටන් ගත්තේ? කවද්ද පටන් ගත්තේ? කවුද පටන් ගත්තේ? We are going to look at all that and what influences we had from other countries, and also this music is called Calypso. Is it really Calypso? We will find out.
Hoya, 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 hoya. Chandraya andruwase nagi hoya hoya sesil sulanga avata hamai vegani nalavena maugule podi daruwan dole suratal singiti sina magna gale giri dire punchini chilla male balle nelli gale idi aganna pute mavage durulle.
To discuss the beginning of group songs, we have somebody very special here. He's a person who was with the band La Bambas. He's a composer, he's a singer, he's a guitarist, and he actually composes in Sinhala and in English. And he's the one who composed the famous song Cock A Doodle Doo. It's none other than Mr. Priya Peiris. Priya, welcome to Talking Piano.
Happy to be in your second episode, Rukshan.
Great. Priya, I'm going to take you back to the 60s. You performed with the band La Bambas. And then there were several other bands, Los Ilanians, Los Flamencos, Los Caballeros, a similar type of bands played around that time. And we call all that Calypso. Is it really Calypso or is it something else?
Well, it's not Calypso. Rigidly speaking, it's not Calypso. But people, sadly, even the band boys who did this type of music didn't mind it being called Calypso. That's the one mistake they did. And the term was used mainly by hoteliers and record producers to market their product.
For lack of a better name, if you don't mind, we will call that, for this episode, we will call it Calypso, just for this program, right?
Yes.
These songs?
Very much against my wishes, I'll agree.
Okay. Calypso, if you analyze Calypso music, there is box guitars being played, there's a lot of percussion being played, beautiful harmonies, and you also had the special attire, where straw hats and a colored shirt, sometimes sarong, and so on and on and on. Does that describe the so-called Calypso music?
Well, that's debatable, but the original Calypso people at the outset in the 50s, around the 50s, they played the box guitars and with a little bit of percussion instruments. That's how we started. But here the scenario changed. I can't explain how, but anyhow it's different. Everyone calls it Calypso, and as well we'll call it Calypso for the time being. But they have their own identities. It's different from the original Calypsos altogether.
Now, during that time, 60s and 70s, how many these so-called Calypso bands were there, and can you name a few?
Well, really what is called as the Kandayam Sangeeta, the group songs of the 70s, in real fact emerged in the 60s, in the mid 60s, with bands like Los Caballeros. They were the known people. Prior to that, they were the Fernando Trio, who trailblazed. Really, they were the trailblazers. Then the Los Caballeros, the Las Unions, the Los Muchachos. Then latterly, us, the flamencos, the Moonsoons also. They also started with box guitars.
Yeah, correct. So all those are about around 10 well-known so-called Calypso bands.
Yes.
And there was tons of other unknown Calypso bands as well.
Many.
All over. And in Moroto also there were quite a number of bands that didn't get a chance to record their songs per se. Okay, Priya, I think we should do a song. Can you do one of the La Bamba songs? Slow one, maybe?
Yes, I'll do Piyakaru Mana Obave, composed by my bandmate Rollinson.
Okay. It's on G?
Yes. හිමිදිරියේ ඔබ හොර රාසේ ඉරුගෙන් ගත් වරමින් නිසිසේ තුරු අතරේ කුමරියක ලෙසේ කඩන්නේ දෑතින් හැකිද කෙසේ හිමිදිරියේ ඔබ හොර රාසේ ඉරුගෙන් ගත් වරමින් නිසිසේ තුරු අතරේ කුමරියක ලෙසේ කඩන්නේ දෑතින් හැකිද කෙසේ චූටිගේ පොඩි ගවුමේ ලොකු පොඩි මල් තිබුණේ ඇලේ දොලේ හා රජ මැදුරේ සිරිදෙන පුෂ්පය ඔබ වේ ඇලේ දොලේ හා රජ මැදුරේ සිරිදෙන පුෂ්පය ඔබ වේ පියකරු මල ඔබ වේ පියකරු මල ඔබ වේ
So what you heard was the song Kalukelle by Los Flamencos, and you could hear that a lot of percussion instruments played in that. And what are some of those instruments, Priya?
Well, the maracas are perhaps the most known instrument, what is called shakers in Sri Lanka, the one with two handles and with a coconut shell where you bang each other. Then you get the similar sound with this. This is the cabeza. You can play it like this or like this. You must excuse me, I am not a good percussion player, but these are the sounds they make. this is called the gyro. And this is called the agoga, A-G-O-G-A. There are many ways of playing. That way, or sounds like this. To various patterns. So these are some of the instruments that I used.
All right. So most of the bands had these kind of instruments, and that's what gave that.
Like that.
Aha,
funny sounds.
So according to the history, this all started with the very talented musician, Mr. Neville Fernando, who was a classical guitarist, singer, composer. Right, and he's the one who led the band Los Caballeros, and that I believe is the first such band that started in Sri Lanka. Can you say a couple of things about Mr. Neville Fernando?
What is widely known is that Neville Fernando started this trend, but the fact remains that Neville Fernando, together with Bernardine Fernando and Merrill Fernando, started the Fernando trio in a small way, which was the forerunner to all these bands.
So there were other group song bands, so-called Calypso, before Los Caballeros?
Prior to this, the known thing is there were other bands in and around Colombo, in and around the Colombo circuit, who sang harmony songs, mostly Western songs and international evergreen standards and all. That was the forerunner to all this type of genre. With bands like the Four Chords, Moonbeams, the Italias, things like that. They were generally Western bands who performed with piano and the double bass and snare drums and like that.
Slightly different instruments, and also mostly Western.
Yes.
Not Sinhala originals.
Yeah.
So after Los Caballeros, there are the other bands that you mentioned before, they started as well. One unique thing that I realize is that almost all these so-called Calypso bands played Spanish songs. How did the Spanish songs come in, and what was the reason? Was it a trend to play Spanish songs at the time, or how did that become so popular here?
Not all of the bands, but some of them really took a liking to the passion of Spanish group songs, like the Caballeros themselves, the Los Muchachos, the Los Flamencos from Moratua, and a little later, not at the outset, but a little later, the La Bambas. Not everyone acquired, but of course only some, as I said.
Okay. So it's not that easy to just sing Spanish song, because you have to pronounce it in the proper way.
Yes.
You have to learn quite a bit, not like singing a Sinhala song or
yes.
English song.
At least we took great pains to find out the real pronunciation as well as correct words. So at least as non-Spanish speaking people, we are happy to say that I believe we were at least about 90% accurate.
Priya, it's time to do a Spanish song, something that your band used to do back in the days.
Yes, I'll sing the first verse of Cielito Lindo. Ese lunar que tienes, cielito lindo, junto a la boca, no se lo des a nadie, cielito lindo, que a mí me toca. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. De la sierra morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando un par de grillos negros, cielito lindo, los contrabando. De la sierra morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando un par de grillos negros, cielito lindo, los contrabando. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones.
So these Spanish songs, they sound a bit like the Calypso anyway. So that is that one of the reasons that the influence of the Spanish songs coming in here and you are doing, or is it because the radio started playing these songs?
Exactly.
How did that influence come into Sri Lanka?
Well, the way I see it is, it's like this. The radio, the SLBC or Radio Ceylon was the only listening media at that time. They used to play a lot of these Spanish songs because when they play the record in Colombo 7, the whole country hears it. That would have influenced people like Neville Fernando and people like that to take to this type of thing, like a duck takes into water, perhaps because of a few reasons. Neville liked harmony. Neville himself was a Catholic, and with the church influences and all, harmony would have been in his blood. So that was there in this type of music, as well as the very infectious, the baila-like rhythm, which also was evident in the Spanish songs, which was also a part of Sri Lankan culture. So it was more or less easy to acquire these things because it was almost there by coincidence. It was there.
It was very similar to the Calypso, the type of songs that you all played here. Yeah, including baila, as you said, right?
Yes.
Because I remember listening to some bailas. I actually traveled quite a bit with my when I was working at Philip Morris International in New York. I traveled a lot in Latin America, and I heard the exact 6/8 beat in Venezuela and in Mexico. Mexico has this mariachi type of things.
Yes.
Very close to the baila, let's put it that way.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, in fact, I remember that when I went to Mexico, in Mexico City, there's a place called Garibaldi, and there are tons of restaurants and a lot of music, a lot of bands playing, and it's the famous place there to listen to mariachi music. So I've been there a couple of times, and reminded me of the sort of the Calypso bands in Sri Lanka, because they actually play from table to table, like what's happening here today. They go from table to table playing the box guitars, and sometimes they had the accordion, but singing very similar tunes. Yes. And that 6/8 beat, that was a fabulous place, and this mariachi music was so popular.
Of course, mariachi music also had trumpets and violins also, I think.
A lot of trumpets, and absolutely right. That's the only difference compared to our Calypso music. And also they are wearing the similar hats. Those are mariachi hats.
Yes.
But of course we didn't have those, so I think we took to straw hats. That's how
what is generally called as pantoppiya in Sri Lanka.
Right, pantoppiya. Yeah, but it looked quite alike what they were playing over there. So it reminded me quite about the Calypso bands here at the time.
Se alegran, cielo lindo, los corazones.
So obviously there was a lot of Spanish influence and Portuguese influence that coming into all these songs, including our Calypso songs. Is that right?
As you know, Portugal and Spain are neighboring countries. What happened was, during the 15th and 16th centuries, there was a lot of exploration done by the Spaniards and the Portuguese, Columbus and various other people, Vasco da Gama and other people, many names coming to the mind. But then it becomes his story of history, so I won't talk about all that.
Yeah.
There was one route that Vasco da Gama and certain others took to Asia, and thus to Sri Lanka in 1505, and that was the advent of the Baila beat, with the Portuguese coming in, as everyone knows. Sri Lanka, especially the coastal people, acquired names. Fernandes, Peiris, I am a Peiris, he is a Perera, Mendes, like that. So that is the...
And you know, in Brazil, you walk on the street, you see Pereira Avenue, Peiris Lane and Fernando Lane, all names are there.
Alejo de ti es porque he comprendido que soy la nube gris que nubla tu camino. Me voy para dejar.
So with Portuguese coming in here and so on, that we have the 6/8, the Baila beat came about, and we also heard these Baila beats in Spanish songs as well. Now, I remember you composed a song with La Bambas, a 6/8 beat, but that was an English song, Cock A Doodle Doo, that became very, very popular. Now, was that unique to you and La Bambas doing an English 6/8 baila, or did the other bands also compose English 6/8 bailas? What made you do this?
Well, it was just a random ad hoc idea of mine that came into my mad mind, perhaps, and it was just an impromptu thing. There was no such particular. To my knowledge, I can't think of any other bands within inverted commas Calypsos, as you said, who did English songs. Perhaps I am the only person, I don't know much about it, but I think Cock A Doodle Doo achieved some success, and I can't think of any other such band composing English song.
So Priya, I think it's time to do Cock A Doodle Doo. You okay with it?
Yes, okay, right. There lives a jolly bird in the backyard of my home. We got him from the marketplace, he prefers being alone. Day by day in every way, good luck is bound to bring. Bright and early, right at dawn when he begins to sing. He's Mr. Cock A Doodle Doo, he's up at 2:30. The night is done, the sun will shine, skies will soon be blue. Cock A Doodle Doo means good morning all of you. Early morning as you wake up, Cock A Doodle Doo. Schooling days are gone, holidays are playing time. No more studying lessons, so don't wake me till it's 9. I wanna sleep a little more, so let the bright sun shine. You wake up late and make it 9, your Cock A Doodle time. Mr. Cock A Doodle Doo, he's up at 2:30. The night is done, the sun will shine, skies will soon be blue. Cock A Doodle Doo means good morning all of you. Early morning as you wake up, Cock A Doodle Doo. Early morning as you wake up, Cock A Doodle Doo. Early early morning as you wake up. Cock A Doodle Doo. Well, as you know, the Latin American bands were different and the Calypso bands from the Caribbean were different. Now, here are some of the Calypso stalwarts. Harry Belafonte, then the Kingston Trio, famous for Sloop John B and songs like that. Harry Belafonte famous for Jamaica Farewell, etc. And another Calypso band, not from the Caribbean, but they were a Danish couple, Nina and Frederick, who also sang a lot of Calypso songs. They sang Calypso songs of the West Indies. And likewise,
even in France, I believe a lot of Calypso songs were sung, huh? In France.
I see.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
And I see, that's good, that's news to me. Similarly, the Latin American famous bands were these, the Los Penchos, the Trio Los Paraguas, the Los Muchacambos, the Los Indios. The Los Indios, they're famous for their instrumentals. They didn't sing much, but for instrumentals. So, though similar, they are the difference. So, the Sri Lankan bands, the Voxita bands acquired this type of thing mostly, and not this.
Not the Calypso.
Not the Calypso.
That's your point.
That's the point.
Yeah. So and also even the names, they Los Muchachos, and they have a Los whatever, very similar names, and obviously Spanish names.
La is singular, Los is plural.
Plural, yeah.
And La is also feminine.
Mm-hmm.
So
La Bambas is feminine band.
Yes,
huh?
but yes. So the thing is this, because of the song, because we used to sing the song La Bamba those days, so we went as La Bambas. We were teenagers and we didn't give much thought to all this type of thing, and we never thought that we'll need to do music for even for fun later on. So we just acquired that name. That's about all.
So now the band La Silenians with Mr. Noel Ranasinghe, who is also a very talented, multi-talented instrumentalist and singer. I heard that Milton Mallavarachi also sang with La Silenians.
Yes, that's a good question. A little known fact in Sri Lanka is that Milton Mallavarachi was a regular member of the La Silenians. He was there for quite a few years, and his voice can be heard in the recordings of Dahadu Kavindala, Hoya Hoya, Taruna Jivite Ape Vinoden. Really, one of his songs, particularly a song called Dahadu Kavindala, was the reason for his success as an individual singer later on in life.
As a solo singer. So Priya, you mentioned that what we do is not really Calypso. Can we have a real Calypso song?
Yes, Rukshan. We'll play the most sought after Calypso traditionally by Harry Belafonte, Jamaican Farewell.
So Jamaican Farewell is a Calypso song because it came from Caribbean.
Yes.
That's what the definition is.
Yes, it's about Kingston Town and all that type of thing. So it's 100% Caribbean.
Calypso.
Down the way where the nights are gay and the sun shines gaily on the mountain top, I took a trip on a sailing ship, and when I reached Jamaica I made a stop. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way, won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I have to leave a little girl in Kingston Town. Down by the market you can hear ladies cry out while on their heads they bear husky rice, all fish are nice, and the rum is fine any time of the year. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way, won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I have to leave a little girl in Kingston town. Sad to say I'm on my way, won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I have to leave a little girl in Kingston town. I have to leave a little girl in Kingston town. I have to leave a little girl in Kingston town. Another thing I must tell Rukshan is, it was Noel and the Lazarians who got the idea, perhaps due to some foreign contracts or hotel contracts or whatever. It was he who brought the idea of wearing sarongs and straw hats for this type of music.
Oh, so he's the first one to wear the sarong.
Yes.
But the other things, everyone wore the hats and the coloured shirts,
Yes,
and all that.
yes,
That was there.
Yes, the sombrero like hat or whatever, and the other attire worn by Spanish bands were emulated by, were followed by the other Spanish bands in Sri Lanka. But the batik and the sarong attire with straw hats
Started
came
with Lazarinians.
with Lazarinians.
Right, okay. So some of my favorite songs of Calypso, I love Hoya Hoya, Lovely Harmony, Kalukelle, Kale Ukuletiala, even Joby Pereira's
Yes, Yakadatalanna.
Yakadatalanna. Those are, I actually put a medley together, but I didn't do it in the Calypso style, but I did it in a cappella style. A cappella that is with absolutely no music, and I did one, all this a medley of songs, of the Calypso songs, put into a medley of a cappella style, and I did that. Ladies and gentlemen, here's another a cappella using some of the finest Calypso songs of the 60s and the 70s.
Hoya, 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 hoya. Samudre masun borat jale, samgiye bale, ap jeevane bale. Samudre masun borat jale, samgiye bale, ap jeevane bale. Ratriye me jalashiye aramudeki pedapalla perala balbala. Ratriye me jalashiye aramudeki pedapalla perala balbala. Hoya 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 kelle ob harima hanai netanin balu bita siriyawai sudu kellanta vada ob pingpadai nivasehi babulena mahanobai aloka sakama patuwa hada nalavanne siduaya menjora pingpadinjora sirurava laladen wa harima hanai ඉක්මනින් බැලුවිට සිරියාවයි සුදු කෙල්ලන්ට වඩා ඔබ පිටපාරයි නිවසේ බැබලෙන පාර ඔබයි නිවසේ බැබලෙන පාර ඔබයි පාර ඔබයි වෙහෙසිලා දුක් විඳලා කම්මලේ යකඩ තලා මුළු ගතම වෙහෙසුනා දහඩියෙන් නැවුණා උසගින්න නිවා ගන්න මෙමා යකඩ තලන්නා මුළු ගතම වෙහෙසුනා දහඩියෙන් නැවුණා උසගින්න නිවා ගන්න මෙමා යකඩ තලන්නා වෙහෙසිලා දුක් විඳලා කම්මලේ යකඩ තලා වෙහෙසිලා දුක් විඳලා කම්මලේ යකඩ තලා මම ඉන්නව දැකලා අනික් ඇත්ත බලාලා යනවනේ මානුවර මැනිකේ one and only one යනවනේ මානුවර මැනිකේ one and only Candila Missy Sweet Marie come to me you're my one and only Candila Missy
don't say palaya just go ya I'm your one and only Candila Missy
you're my one and only Candila
I am your one and only Candila Missy
you're my one and only Candila
I am your one and only Candila Missy
අනික් පැත්ත බලලා යනවනේ මානුවර මැනිකේ
One and only one,
යනවනේ මානුවර මැනිකේ
one and only one,
යනවනේ මානුවර මැනිකේ one and only Candila උකුලේ තියාලා
Tell me about Mr. Paul Fernando, how you found him and Mala. You composed that song Mala.
Yes. Chandral told me, Priya, come let's go to see a show at Buddhist Hall, Moratuwa, which is close by, the famous place for concerts and all. And he said, there's a wonderful young guy singing. It's nice if you can see who this is and that type of thing. So, although I helped Paul, if not for that invitation and if I didn't go with Ranmal, with Chandral to see this show, things would have been quite different for Paul, I think, in his life. It so happened I met him. He came first. He won this talent contest, and I spoke to him and told him that there are opportunities like that. And I spoke to his parents because he was a schoolboy. And I didn't want to, no one wanted to disrupt his college work and studies or whatever. And with his permission, I put him on to Vijay Korea and featured him on a few newspaper articles, took him to Surya and did everything for him. And I remember his first ever booking, as musicians call the booking, was at St. Andrews Hotel, Nuvarelia. That's the place where I met Sri Peiris and the Fortunes. And I am happy to say very humbly that I am proud to say this, that it was me who helped Stanley to come to Colombo, because his circuit was all candy music. He was a teacher at St. Anthony's College, Kattukastore at that time.
Fabulous saxophonist, and he had
Yes.
played for so many records, even
Yes.
for Golden Chimes and so many others. Clarence's recordings, he did a lot of.
It was through my influence that he did the Surya recording, was featured on SLBC recordings and on the Salas Coco show, which was his first booking, as well as the Surya show, which was the concert at that time.
So Priya, you mentioned something very interesting. You said that Mala song that you composed for Mr. Paul Fernando, you said that it's based on Red River Valley.
Yes, exactly. 100% sure.
Can we try that?
I'll sing Red River Valley as well as a part of Mala to show the similarity.
Okay, super.
From this valley they say you are going. We shall miss your sweet face and your smile. Just because you are weary and tired. Are you leaving this range for a while? So come sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu. Just remember the Red River Valley and the cowboy who loved you so true. සඳපාන වගේ ඔපෙරුව දිලිසිලා මට නිතරම පෙනෙනවා මැවිලා මාල ඇවිත් මගේ කනට ඔයා ලං වෙලා කියන්නකෝ ආදරේ කියාලා මාලා මම ඔබ ගැනම හිතාලා ආසේ රන් මාලිගා තනාලා ඔයා මගේ මං ඔයාගේ අයි පතාලා කියන්නකෝ ආදරේ කියාලා කියන්නකෝ ආදරේ කියාලා.
That's perfectly right. It's exact tune.
It's the same tune. I purposely did it.
6/8.
I purposely did it. I didn't copy it, but I purposely did it in order to make a career for this young man.
Of course, he was very young at that time,
Yes.
right? He was.
I was a teenager.
Prince of Wales.
He himself was a teenager.
Yeah, of course. Wow, fantastic. So Priya, you come from Morotua, I come from Morotua, and we have seen that there are tons of musicians, singers, composers come from Morotua. A party is not complete without a sing song. Somebody will play the piano and have a sing song, or somebody will play the guitar. There'll be bongos, congas, and sing song is a must. Where did that influence come into Morotua? How did that happen?
Once again, it's the Christian community. Being a coastal area, it happened. And the other thing is, Morotua in any case, for some reason, is a very close community. And when it's a close community, there's a lot of brotherhood and fellowship. For better or for worse, it is there. So therefore, the closeness brings people together. And the camaraderie and everything that goes with the singing.
Yeah, this is very unique to Morotua. Is it also in Negombo as well, or is it?
Yes, even Negombo, the aura and the spirit and the feeling, the atmosphere, everything is there. But I think the singing atmosphere, sadly, Morotua has been overtaken by other places, I think.
Today?
Yes.
Okay. But back in the 60s and 70s, Morotua
Yes.
Was right on top, where music is concerned.
Yes.
So, Priya, you as a senior musician, you have helped so many younger musicians back in 60s, 70s and so on. Even the Prince of Baila, Mr. Paul Fernando, who passed away recently, was discovered by you. I remember even the band that I had, Kala Medirio, you are the one who took us first to, at that time it was called CBC, right, and introduced us to Dr. Vijay Korea, and we had it was a new band, the up and coming band, original songs, and I think it was a 20 or 30 minute program, I can't remember. But so Priya, at the CBC, I'm sure you remember the program. There's something very special happened in that program. I was rather shy to talk. I was okay to sing harmony and play the guitar, the ukuleles at the time, but I was shy to talk at the time. Do you remember that part? What happened?
Of course I do. It was funny, no doubt. I remember all of you and the Kalamadrio, your band boys were around 12, 13 years old, wearing a pair of shorts. You all came to SLBC. I organized the show with Vijay Korea, and at the end of the show, unlike now, there was no technology. Everything has to be done in one shot. You have to do the recording and finish the recording in one shot. You can't erase and cut and paste and things like that were not there at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the show, Vijay wanted Rukshan as the leader of the band to speak a few words. And Rukshan felt very shy. He said, "Katha karanne ba, katha karanne ba." He didn't want to talk. Then Vijay told him, "You are the leader. Priya, get him to talk because he is the leader." But he was very shy or whatever like that. So then Vijay, I think Vijay told, now this happened long years back, I can't remember very well also. Vijay told, in that case, "Priya, you talk on behalf of Rukshan. You pretend you are Rukshan and speak." So Vijay is interviewing me. "Hello Rukshan." So I am also saying, "Hello Vijay," and start the conversation, blah 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 blah. "Who are the members of your band, Rukshan?" So I rattled out all the names the way I knew. And at the end of the program, Vijay, instead of thanking Rukshan for coming, because Vijay was speaking to me,
Yeah.
So therefore, Vijay said, "Oh, thank you very much, Priya, for coming." And then you get the bus sound from the other side, from the control room,
engineer.
from the recording engineer, saying something. And then he said, "Rukshan ki hua nahi?
Priya
Priya ki hua nahi?" So Vijay also couldn't understand, I also couldn't understand. Now really, it should have been Rukshan, because he was supposed to be interviewing Rukshan. So he said, "Thank you, Priya," and ended. So the whole thing had to be done again, because the one track recording, the whole thing had to be recorded once again. And Vijay is telling me, "Priya ke na to vinamano kiyan do it." And the whole thing had to be done. And I was looking hard at Rukshan also. So another half an hour went to put that right. I still remember that very well.
Anyway, that was fun as little kids going to SLBC, CBC at the time. And thank you so much, Priya, for doing that. You have been helping a lot of musicians in Moratuwa as well as everywhere else. Thank you so much for all that.
Pleasure.
So Priya, even today, you still compose songs and you still sing on stage, which is great. Recently you did a song with the Moratuwa Arts Forum, I believe. Can you talk about that song a little bit?
Well, it was an idea that came to my mind during the lockout period a few months back. Then I thought to myself, rather than languishing at home, let me compose a song for the Moratuwa Arts Forum, where all of them can be singing something similar to Michael Jackson's "We Are the World," something like that, in relation to the health problem right now faced in the world, as a song sung in unison by the Arts Forum members, telling the people of the world to be safe, to help each other, and to coexist in a healthy way. That's the strong message of this song.
Yeah.
Time has come for everyone to look at life anew, to reassess our lifestyles, to review and renew.
For us to breathe more freely, we have to think as one, to make this world a healthier place, to live beneath the sun.
With our knowledge, faith and wisdom, together we should strive
to synchronize with nature, to prosper and to thrive. Help rid the world from pestilence,
sickness and disease.
Fear, pain, panic, let us endeavor to win.
So let's be wise, compromise, welcome, accept and embrace hygienic, new good habits for the well-being of our human race.
Let's enjoy our right to live through discipline and righteous ways,
To welcome new horizons,
assuring us of safe, beautiful days.
beautiful day. Let us lead a healthy life as one community. Mother Nature has spoken. We've got our fingers marked.
We've been shattered and awoken. There are lessons to be learned.
To be
We
loved.
shouldn't be disheartened, but preserve our sanity.
And yearn for health and happiness for all eternity.
We should be the wings of change.
Living for each other.
Let us make things happen. Stay safe with one another.
Minimize the risk of infection. Keep illnesses at bay.
Live healthy lives abundantly. Full of is what they say.
So let's be wise, compromise, welcome, accept and embrace hygienic, new good habits.
For the well-being of our human race. Let's enjoy our right to live through disciplined and righteous ways.
To welcome new horizons, assuring us of safe, beautiful days.
We have come together as one to sing this song.
With spirit, meaning, purpose, to bring this message strong.
Hail on earth a new dawn, born of a sudden storm.
Come, let us all look forward.
To herald the glorious dawn.
So let's be safe now and forevermore.
From east to west, from shore to shore.
Through life's journey we must go.
Tensed and troubled, nevermore.
Let's celebrate humanity.
Stay strong and build up our immunity.
For this world belongs to you and me. We are one world, one community.
So we have come to the end of Talking Piano episode 2, and I must thank Mr. Priya Peiris for coming and giving us all the information, inside information on how this so-called Calypso songs started, who started, and what influences we had, what countries influenced us. And thank you so much for coming and enlightening us with all these so-called Calypso songs, group songs, and also singing the couple of songs that you sang. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rukshan. I was very impressed with your first program with Mr. Sangabo Korea, my good friend. I hope this will also be very listenable and good to people.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.